All right, guys, isn't this a sight to see? Finally, the big rig on the dyno. So we finally got the sleeve back from BHSS. It's been re-sleeved down to a smaller size. It seems to feel better, so we'll see how it goes. But hopefully this has sorted out hair issues. Unfortunately, it's now Monday, the week of King of the Strip. King of the Strip's this weekend. So we were really hoping to have had the sleeve back last week and got it done for Bryce to take it on the weekend, just gone. But unfortunately, we didn't get it back until today. So due to the fact that it's sort of just ended up so delayed and we're finishing it on the week of King of the Strip, Bryce can't make it up to King of the Strip anymore. It's not enough time for him to get the car sorted, well, you know, get it back, get it sorted and get it ready and head up there. So he's working away all week as well, which is another thing that's adding to it. So just between those, it's just not going to work out, which is a shame. But anyway, it is what it is. What else can you do about it? So we'll see how the big girl goes. Righto guys, Rex is powering through Dyno Session on this thing. So we started yesterday afternoon, so we're actually on to day 2 now. We ended up swapping the gate springs out this morning, put some heavier gate springs in it because it was only running around 4 pound, and we were a bit worried with the gate spring that was in it that we wouldn't sort of reach our high boost target. So swapped the springs out this morning. Still battling a few things with this clutch, but it seems to be getting better. We re-bled it again backwards this morning. Does appear to be getting better. It's weird. It's almost like you need to give it a pump the first time you stand on it. It's really strange, and we still don't think it should be how clutch should be behaving. But anyway, not sure what else to really do about it. So we'll just keep battling through it and see how it goes. Maybe it'll just get better over time. One thing we did have yesterday afternoon was a fuel pressure issue, which we were pretty sad and sorry heading home last night after all the precautions we've taken and after everything we've done to ensure this thing wouldn't have fuel pressure issues, because being tuners, 9 out of 10 cars have freaking fuel pressure issues. And yesterday afternoon, sure enough, on the AFRs, dropping fuel pressure. Not fun. We figured out this morning, which is a funny one that might catch a lot of people out. It was actually just pressurizing because of the breather in the tank. And what it was, the breather, obviously, to the tank, we had made sure that it was unblocked. We always do. But this little dick here, the hard line, it was actually blocked. So seemed unblocked. As soon as you plug it back in, it's blocked up again. So that was quite a simple fix, and we've got that sorted now as well. So with our new gate, springs and the fuel pressure and everything sorted out, we're running just around that 7 psi.
It's gone to about just under 8, and then it's sort of running down to about 6 at the end, which is not too bad.
That's not too bad, and with the e-boost we can actually tune this out so that it maintains 8 pound because we've got the RPM signal into the e-boost. So we will do that. But yeah, 414 at the wheels on these 33s at, you know, 7-8 pound is awesome. That's a wicked result. Very, very good result. So pretty happy with this cam selection. We're pretty excited about this cam. It's behaving very well. It's basically exactly as we intended it to. So Alright guys, we've got problems. I don't know if it'll show up on the GoPro, but we're very, very hazy. A lot of smoke. It's all coming out the exhaust, like real bad. So anyway, it's now the game of, did it hurt a turbo or has it grabbed a ring or something like that? So, oh, the fun of it all. Righto guys, we are back this morning. Got this thing on the hoist, ready to start basically pulling this engine out and just having a look at what went wrong. So after this happened yesterday, we just finished what we were doing on the other car that was on the hoist and just went home. We were pretty off it, we were pretty over it. So what happened, obviously you saw them power runs. At that low boost, we're making really good power, everything was fine. Thing was fairly normal as far as where it wanted timing for what boost it was at and everything else. And then obviously, as you saw, As soon as we started pushing a fair bit of boost, it was getting a bit of noise there, which is what we were starting to try and track down when obviously it started blowing a heap of blue smoke. So as you can see, what we actually done for that last 2 runs was Rex had put the back pressure, the map for the back pressure on the manifold on the car so that we could see what the back pressure was at on that run. And it is quite high. It's up there around that 3-to-1, which for this combo is higher than it should be. So the next thing that Rex was gonna try was actually this port here that we bleed the MAC valve into. He was going to chuck the dyno reference into that port to see whether we're actually creating any vacuum in here to see whether the filter and snorkel is any sort of restriction. Because if that's restricting the feed to the turbo, well then the turbo is working a lot harder to get the air in, which is, in turn you would end up with a higher EMAP ratio that way. So from similar patrols that we've done with very similar combos with the same sort of turbo, we have seen less back pressure ratios than that at high boost. So it does seem a bit high, but obviously we didn't get that far because it started blowing all that smoke. So we were sort of talking about it and discussing it, and what we sort of put it down to was, you know, when Rex started putting more boost into it, the timing was very, very conservative. It was nowhere near the sort of timing where this combo with this cam for this compression and that boost, it should be anywhere near knocking. Definitely shouldn't be at the knock limit of the fuel. So you got to be careful with these things, obviously being stock valves. You don't want to have hardly any timing in them, because if you pull too much timing out, you get really high EGTs and you risk burning through the exhaust valve. So there is a bit of a balance to walk there. But one thing that we hadn't considered until this morning was that it might have just been a absolutely shitty batch of fuel. We put a fresh, right before Rex pretty much started chasing more power, we had put a fresh 40 litres of fuel in that we got from the servo yesterday. The servo here in town, they get their fuel from United, and they have been really good. We've never really had an issue, and we were probably getting fairly complacent with the fuel, but it is very possible that with all this rain that we've had recently, that we just got a whole batch of just absolute shit fuel. And obviously, terrible contaminated fuel. We were thinking the timing's very conservative for what it would normally be. It shouldn't be knocking, but obviously maybe it was. And it would appear that we've probably broken a ring lead on this engine. So that's just part of the game. It is what it is. Anyway, we'll pull this engine out, hopefully sort it anyway. After it's fixed, we then have to try and figure out why the EMAP ratio is so high still. But like we said, when we built this thing, we put a lot of ports on it for doing this sort of data collation. So we do have plenty of avenues to actually check whether it's, you know, dump restriction, intake restriction, all of that. So we'll do some more testing when we get it back on the dyno, but we'll get this engine fixed first. Righto, so pretty clear which cylinder is sad. Regardless, obviously we'll pull them all 8 out and check them all 8 though. We're talking though, it's this is going to be the first engine that's been killed by us on our dyno. The first one, so we had a pretty good run. Rex was pretty upset about it. He's very upset about it. Anyway, a couple of hours to get it out. All that time and effort that goes into building these things to be easy to work on, and hey, what do you know, they're easy to work on. So out in a few hours, we'll pull all these pistons and rods out. Got to have a good look at all the bearings as well, which we didn't with this one because we had just left it as a stock bottom end. Bit of new hardware, replace whatever pistons need replacing. The bearings are good, they go back in. If not, replace them. Anyway, we'll get it all sorted and back together and back on the dyno, ready to be picked up on the weekend. Righto guys, so we did a leak down test this time. Did a full leak down on it. Confirmed number 1 is the cooked cylinder, just as we thought. But interestingly enough, these 3 cylinders on this bank, all of them are leaking quite heavily out of the intake port, which, as these guys know, this thing got all new intake valves prior to its assembly. So that's a bit, how you going, to say the least. Not too great. The cylinders in this bank, obviously these 3 seem to be alright. Couldn't tell with number 1 because it's going straight past the rings, but yeah, a bit of a strange one, not too cool. Alright guys, so last night we did get this all pulled down. Well, not all pulled down, but obviously pulled down and inspected the very problem cylinder, which is number 1. And we were 100% correct. She has cracked a piston. And then obviously as soon as it cracks, the way combustion works, if it has somewhere to go, it just acts like a blowtorch and just starts to eat through it real fast. It's the same with valves. You get a pinhole in a valve. As soon as you get a pinhole, it starts to just act like a blowtorch and it just burns through your valve quick smart. So anyway, that is exactly what happened. It has obviously the piston's been hot enough that it's bit of alley on the bore there. So the only way obviously to fix this properly is to get it properly honed and basically re-ring it and essentially just do a bottom end rebuild and do it right. It's the only way to do it properly, and we're already at this point, so we may as well just do it. So it absolutely sucks. Terrible timing for us. Obviously it's the sort of thing we've got to wear, and it's a pain in the ass, but may as well just do it properly while we're here and get it done properly and get it back in the car. So that's where we're at with it. We'll get this pulled down and get it to the machine shop and get it properly honed. Like I said, we've got plenty of other pistons and rods to go in it, so we can take care of that, not a problem. But unfortunately, it does mean that obviously it's not going to be ready for pick up this weekend. It's going to be probably delayed at least another week. So it's a pain in the ass, but we'll work overtime to get it to them ASAP. Hopefully by then, we'll actually have the freaking AC line stuff here. We've been having so much problems trying to get our accounts in order with the people that we get our AC, well, that we're meant to be starting to get our AC some stuff from. It's been a real pain. But anyway, guys, it massively sucks. It's one of those things. I'm sure every tuner has stories. I think we've done pretty well to go this far without ever having done any damage like this to an engine. And, you know, obviously not to take away from the fact that as tuners, we should have picked this up before it did this sort of damage, but just to point out how quickly just a bad batch of fuel can decimate your engine. It's pretty wild. I've got to be honest, it's even surprising to me just how quick it went through it. It got to this point from that terrible fuel. So it's definitely, yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. Like I said, we sort of probably get pretty complacent with our fuel. It's not like we were leaning on this thing. We did not have that much timing in it. That's why we didn't really think that it was a serious problem. But obviously the fuel was just trash. And even with that very, very conservative timing, it's just got to this point. So something to note, something for everyone to learn is that, yeah, a bad batch of 98 will very, very quickly kill stuff. It's pretty wild. So anyway, it is what it is. We'll get it fixed. Anyway, guys, I'd say that'll probably do it for another episode. Spewing that there needs to be another episode. Absolutely spewing that we have finally binned an engine. Not really any nice way to put it. Was we finally killed an engine on our dyno that was our fault. It is what it is. It sucks, but you know, it's our fault. All we can do is own it and fix it and get it sorted and get it back in the car and back to the customer. So we'll bust ass, we always do. Unfortunately, it's just, yeah, it's terrible timing for us with how busy we are. This is not what was intended to be done this week. We had a lot of other things to do, but it is what it is. We've got to get it sorted. So anyway, guys, obviously once we get it back in the car, we've got to keep doing a bit more investigation. We still believe that back pressure was higher than it should be for this combo, so we got a few other things that we need to start investigating as well. Still not out of the clear even with the engine rebuilt. There could be some other issues at present. At the moment, yeah, like we talked about, we really need to get a port or a reference on this intake to see whether this air filter is a restriction. Doesn't seem likely considering how freaking big it is and the fact that it's 4-inch all the way through, but I mean, we are trying to move. We're at about 450, nearly 450 at the wheels before this happened. So through a patrol drive line, you're getting probably pretty close to 600 horsepower at the engine. So trying to move 600 horsepower worth of air through it, it very well could be. And like we talked about, obviously the issue is if the turbo's got vacuum at the front of the compressor, it's having to work a lot harder to get the air into the engine, which obviously in turn is going to put the EMAP ratio quite a bit higher. So that definitely could be an issue, or we may have another issue somewhere else. Like we said, we just got to do a bit more data collation and fault finding and get it sorted. But yeah, like I said, always learning. Yeah, it's no joke. Bad fuel is no joke. It does make me pretty concerned. Again, like if they were forged pistons, they would hold up to a bit more abuse. Being cast pistons, obviously, that's always the risk you run with stock bottom end stuff, but just goes to show when you're playing these games, you really got to make sure you keep good quality fuel up to them, octane booster and that sort of thing. So yeah, we won't be so what's the word, complacent with the fuel anymore, that's for sure. Anyway, it sucks, but it is what it is. We'll get it sorted. Thanks for watching as always, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out, see you, bye.